Those are all my plaques. You know, it's good. Mark, there's been a lot of talk actually from people like InMendham, from people like Gratex. There's been a lot of talk from those people. Luke12000. What do you have to say to those people?
Well, it strikes me that they're more concerned with each other than with any semblance of facts or learning or any other kind of higher ideal at all. It's easy to understand. This is a phenomenon easily seen in any kind of internet chat channel, web forum, news group, or so on. People are. It's just another form of insular online community that I've had the misfortune of dealing with.
To say towards him, and we do know that. What do you have to? You've seen some of his videos now. What do you have to say towards Gratex, the guy in Scotland?
Well, you know, first of all, he seems like a grown adult. I don't know if he should be, interacting with intellectual midgets on YouTube. That bound to reflect poorly on him. But then again, maybe he's just operating within his audience, so who am I to judge? But so far, he's seemed to have been pretty. I don't know. I guess the most accurate description would be stupid.
Okay. Now, him and InMendham. That's the guy with the long. You know who I'm talking about? InMendham. He has the long. He has the long blonde hair. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. That's the fuck you guy. Or?
Okay. Now, that guy. Now that guy in the UK. He basically, him InMendham. That other guy from Russia, they don't. Who are these people who don't eat meat, who protect animals, who think that humans are no better than a cat or dog? I mean, who are these types of people?
They're just social misfits, is what they appear to be, and they're fitting in their misfit society by being anti things. There's a great deal of intellectual pursuit. There's a great deal of higher intellectual pursuits they could be pursuing if they were really interested in developing their intellects, challenging their ideas, coming to their own conclusions. But when you post on YouTube, this devolves into just simply battles over ego turf.
What would you have to say? Okay. In short, Luke12000 talks about anarchism. That's nothing new to us. Think of 15 years ago when everybody was into the whole anarchism, the big A. Just sum it up for people about anarchism and why people don't pay attention to it at all. Why is it that people don't pay attention to anarchism and that whole argument? And how old is that? And how long has that been going on?
The anarchist movement has been popular amongst counterculture youth really throughout the last century. It experienced various high points during the progressive era, The highest point being the Spanish Revolution, which of course has failed. Then past this point, of course, we have the typical black flag flying, anti G8 summit in Europe that break windows and turn over cars. The reason why nobody pays attention to them is specifically because it's really just a young person's counterculture movement. The same way that nobody took, no one takes hippies seriously. It's not a serious intellectual endeavor, and the serious anarchist intellectuals don't actually post on YouTube, so they really don't. So no one really pays attention to them.
Now, why doesn't, this is for everybody to know, if you could just quickly sum it up, why doesn't anarchy work, and why don't people listen to anarchy? Why doesn't anarchy work? Why isn't it taken seriously?
In the current form of human civilization, people want to have things. This is perfectly understood. Everybody should have the desire to have. Everybody who's watching this video probably does have a desire to own something or to take possession of something. This gives rise to the institution of the state, which is a coercive power to protect the boundaries of what belongs to you and what belongs to somebody else. If that coercive power, which is the state, known as the government, were to be removed, this does not remove the desire of people to own things. It rather merely just removes the mechanism or the advanced form of social mechanisms used to enforce the boundaries of one's private property. So all that will happen is that there will be an era of anarchy, of decay and destruction, followed by a slow building up period in which society will move towards the starting point to where to where we are now. So rather, anarchy is basically just a really long reset button.
InMendham talks on his videos about objective versus subjective. He thinks that that humans shouldn't be subjective to things on the outside, but that he can think for himself and use his own mind to control his life. What do you have to think about? What do you think about that?
Well, it's the sort of intellectual fallacy that people use to make themselves feel good. That's essentially what it is. Human beings are there are absolute truths. It is an absolute truth that there is a planet Earth and that we do breathe air, and that the sky is considered to be blue. However, in the realm of human relations, you are the product of your environment. It's really not a matter of debate. It's pretty well understood. Even a child could understand this much. It's honestly, I can't believe I'm actually having to explain this to somebody.
How are Russian people like?
Russians, in my experience, tend to be rough, and if I were to sum them up in a word, probably criminal. Russians don't add a lot to a law-abiding society.
Now, this guy here in Russia, he basically says that it was his choice not to eat meat. And I said, why is that? And he says, because the animals suffer. And I said, but who taught you that animal suffering was wrong? He says, I taught that by myself. I said, but who taught you that it was a bad thing that animals suffer? He's like, I did, and that's it. I don't want to discuss it anymore. So what do you have to say about this whole vegetarian thing, this guy in Russia? thinking that he decided all by himself that animals suffer, that it's his choice that he's not eating animals. And then you look at InMendham, you look at these other people, all these other, Gratex, they all don't eat animals. They all have something in common. What is it? Why don't they eat animals?
Well, I don't disagree that he's come to his own, conclusions about whether or not he wants to eat meat. However, I would question his motives. Again, I don't doubt that he has a power over his own consciousness to decide whether or not he puts meat in his mouth. But I believe that this probably has more to do with fitting in with his far left kook clique than with making animals suffer.